This is for project You're Hired. Today's date, June 23rd, 2017. I will be doing an interview with some interview questions, so let's get started. First question, tell me about yourself. My name is Stacy Yerkes. I have been in the health industry for 13 years. 13 years this past April, which is really exciting because I've not been in a company that long. I do enjoy working with Anthem, working for Anthem. They provide a lot of great opportunities for you to learn and grow, and it's really exciting. I also am enrolled under the associate's degree program for healthcare management, and I'm excited to finish that up. I'm on about 1 year to go. I oftentimes will take new courses through work to learn new things, expand my horizons, which is always exciting. I always seem to try to figure out something new to learn. And recently I was promoted from an implementation coordinator to an implementation coordinator lead within my job family, within my department. I was able to show my work expertise, showing proof of the hard work that I put in. You can definitely drive amazing results. Okay, next question, tell me about your past work experience. So I'm gonna tell you just really about Anthem because I've been there a majority of my working career. So the past 13 years, like I said, I've been working with Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And in that time, I've held 3 different positions. The first one was a customer service representative, taking phone calls, anything from the non-complex to the complex, with Medicare supplemental type of products. So I did specialize in that realm of insurance product. I would take phone calls from members, from providers, from friends of members to family members of members, you know, just really a range of everyone, answering questions about their plan, general questions, rates, claims questions, anything that would come across the board. There was never any question off the table, of course following rules and stuff depending on who you would relay that information to. After that, I went into the employer group retiree department as an implementation specialist, where I would process groups set up in the system, so more a behind the scenes type of person. During that role, I also collaborated with peers and the implementation department to form policies and procedures and process, like I said, group setup from new and existing clients. And then I moved into my role sometime a few years after that, where I became an implementation coordinator, and then very recently promoted to implementation coordinator lead. So for my implementation coordinator role, it's really important to pay attention to detail, as well as any of the other jobs that I've held at Anthem. In the role of implementation coordinator, I would do that by auditing in the system any setup for new clients and auditing marketing materials that went to potential and active members. It was also important to be able to think quick on your feet, since not every client thinks and feels the same way as to what their goals are for their retirees. So it's really good that you know your stuff, know your material, to be able to relay that to the client. I also, main job role with the implementation coordinator is to manage implementations, and what that means is it's more of a project managing with Microsoft Project. New business, so when we get a new client that wants to have retiree business, tracking from the new sale all the way to the effective date, making sure that all the tasks are completed and ready to go by the time the effective date comes upon us. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of tracking things, a lot of keeping everybody on task. So it was really enjoyable. I still enjoy doing that, making sure everyone gets what they need. Next question, describe a time when you worked well on a team. Well, considering that my job roles have always been more of team-oriented, with my most recent role, I had to create a process for coordination of our renewal submissions that were submitted by our sales reps. It ended up that, you know, when they would submit them, there was a lot of issues, a lot of errors. So when it get distributed to all of the downstream entities, it ended up causing a lot of rework, which was a huge pain point, not only from the sales perspective, but also to the receiver. So because there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people touching the same client because of their piece, and depending on what their piece is, we wanted to come up with a way, and I had to work with a number of different departments to understand what the root cause was of these issues. So if it's touching a underwriting department, what's going to happen downstream wise negatively, so on and so forth. So I worked with these different areas to collect all of the facts as to what happens when they get a renewal notification, what would make it successful. So when they're getting these and it has a bunch of issues and errors, what is negatively impacting at the client end, or even for their end to have to do a bunch of rework. So I collaborated with the different departments, collected all my facts, put that all together, and as well as meeting with the sales reps to understand where the disconnect was. And by putting all of that together, I was able to reformulate the process with a team and come up with a better way to process those renewals, and as well as provide the training documents for the sales reps. So having something concrete that they could go to if they need something to review. So there was a lot of collaboration between all of the different areas and trying to put that process together in my own internal department. So after training the sales reps on the new streamlined process, it was shown to have a really positive effect internally and externally, which was great. With the new process, it cut down the renewal issues by about 75%. So the other percentage that we were not able to meet was just because we had onboarded new folks, new sales reps, and there wasn't proper time to train them with such a busy season. So learn our lesson, try to get that training in no matter what point in time you come into the department as a sales rep. Next question, tell me about a time when you had too many things to do and had to prioritize your tasks. So there was a time earlier this year that I had to take on a second job outside of Anthem, and that was a part-time job. So immediately I could tell that I was overwhelmed. I had school, I had full-time work, I had family, 3 kids, married, and as well as a second job. So it was all trying to balance all of these things, and I didn't initially set time aside for each thing. So realizing that almost immediately within like the first week of doing this and feeling overwhelmed, I knew I needed to reevaluate my time and reallocate where I was spending time and with what task or with what item. So after evaluating all of that, I was able to put an agenda together, a very detailed plan, because that's what I needed at that time, for each day of the week, what I would be working on, even during my full-time job with the kids, family, everything, and what I would be focusing on in the morning, or focusing on during the day or at night, and so forth. So each hour was very detailed. And anything extra. So eventually I was able to stop working the second job, but during that time I did notice a 50% increase of not being overwhelmed with feeling just bogged down with everything, and everything seemed to flow like clockwork, which was really great. So that agenda was something that really helped set times and really put myself in a more positive mood, which reflected positively on my family. Tell me about a time when you had to go above and beyond the call of duty. How did you handle the situation? So I always enjoy new challenges and try to figure out the nuances of each challenge. So I had a particular curious situation which involved a member coming in and needing a verification for his housing. He needed to know what his premiums were, and looking a little further because he had expressed concern that what he had gotten from CMS wasn't matching with what we were sending him. And in further looking into the computer and just really listening to what he was saying, I realized that what we had been processing was incorrect. So the system was automatically allocating money to his wife and so forth. And so I was able to collect all the information from him and reassure him that we would get it taken care of. So that same day I was able to walk over to our membership department and have them correct it, send it over to CMS, and then get him a letter, even though it would have taken overnight to process it, to get him the letter that he needed for his housing verification. So by doing that, I got the feedback from him that he was able to get his rent reduced right away because he had the verification that he needed, so that was a plus. I felt like I handled it very well and very professionally. I stayed calm with the member, so that way he wasn't getting more upset if I came across really anxious. So I made sure to keep my tone very calm, especially when talking to a retiree with such a sensitive matter, which was super important to him. Tell me about a time when you worked effectively under pressure. So I had to create a client notification letter that was due the very next day for the review from the client. This is a letter that goes out to all of their retirees to let them know about a change in coverage. And at that time, I also had all this other work that was due the same day, so my deadline was becoming fast approaching. I took that agenda of each task and estimated the time I needed to work on each item, and I made a list of that first item, which would be the notification letter, because our clients are very important, and worked from the most important to the least important. Because their clients are very important, I knew that deliverable took precedence. Having the letter completed and sent over to the client 8 hours before they were expecting it allowed extra time for any corrections that need to be done. Also allowed the letter to go in the mail 1 day sooner, so that was a positive thing. Give me an example of a time when you showed initiative. So all of our clients receive an implementation binder when they come on board. It's reviewed, rules, regulations, copies of member materials, except for it wasn't in a very client-friendly set. So I took it upon myself to recreate the whole implementation binder so it was more client-friendly. I gathered the information of what was important, what we could take out, and so reanalyzed what was really needed to be in that implementation binder. So I reformatted it, beginning with the contact information as an example, because that's something that is up front, something important for the clients to reference if they need to get a hold of their contacts right away. And as well as, going down the list of what may not be as important to have in the beginning, middle, or end, and just kind of reallocating where it needed to go. The results of this show that the clients could find the information about 85% faster, which was a plus, which was huge. And so the guidance being listed so much easier made it 70% better to really understand. So that was a huge improvement. Is there anything else that you would like us to know about you? So I enjoy diving into my work firsthand and really get my hands dirty, so that way I can get something out of it or give back to the department as a whole, because I love giving back to other people, having a positive impact on my peers. I also enjoy working in a team environment and on a team and being a team player, and fact-finding and understanding the root cause of something and helping to provide a solution or direction to make that process work even better. I have a motto that I like to work with, and it is, there's always a way to streamline a process to make it more efficient, which, if you really dive into it, there really is. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate this interview.